morning children, and welcome to today's English class. And today we are going to learn about the perfect tenses. In perfect tenses, we'll first learn about the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense. So, we use the present perfect tense when you talk about an activity that started in the past and continues to the present. So, the timeline clearly shows about the activity which started in the past and continues to the present. So, the present perfect continuous tense talks about a completed action in the present, and its structure is has or have plus past participle. Present perfect tense expresses the completion of the action or task of the present. Let's look at an example to understand this. I have just tidied the house and fixed the TV. What have you done, George? I have just painted the bench you are sitting on, George says. So we'll now clearly learn that in what other conditions are the present perfect tense used. First, finished actions, that is past event with the present result. She has lost her wallet and the present result is she can't find it. Recently completed actions. I have just finished my project. With unfinished actions, that is duration from past till now. I have lived in Paris for 5 years. The 5 years shows the duration. Multiple actions at different times. I have seen David several times. Changes over time. I have become more interested in medical sciences. The present perfect tense is also used to talk about life experiences. For example, have you ever eaten pizza before? For accomplishment, for instance, man has walked on the moon. Now, what is the structure of this present perfect tense? For an affirmative sentence, the structure is subject plus has or have plus VIII form. For example, he has written an essay. And for a negative sentence, subject plus has or have plus not plus VIII form of the verb. He has not written an essay. And for an interrogative sentence, has or have plus subject plus VIII form of the verb followed by the question mark. Has he written an essay? Now we'll learn about the present perfect continuous tense. As we have seen that in the present perfect tense, the action gets completed in the present, but in the present perfect continuous tense, the action still continues in the present and gets completed sometime near to the future. So let's look at the structure. Has or have plus, been plus, present participle. Present participle means the V4 form or the verb in the ing form. So what is the structure of the present perfect continuous tense? Subject plus, has or have plus, been plus, verb in the ing form plus complement. I have been reading a book. Subject is I, have been, present participle is reading, a book is the verb complement. Let's look at some examples. I have been waiting for this bus for a long time. He has been sleeping for 5 hours. The kids have been playing since morning. So when you look at these examples, it is clear that this tense is used to talk about how long the duration of the action is. Suppose the duration of the action is told in the form of a time period, we use for, and if the time is mentioned, then we use since. Like here, since morning and for 5 hours. The present perfect continuous tense is used with action verbs to talk about something that started in the past and is still true now. Example, I have been studying English since morning or for 7 hours, as I already explained you. Since talks about a particular time and for talks about a time period. Okay, this timeline shows that 7 hours duration or since morning. For repeated actions, especially with time expressions like recently, all day, etc. Example, I have been eating too much these days. It happens with all of us, is it not? Sometimes we tend to eat too much. For continuous actions that are finished but with present results. I have been running all morning. I am exhausted. So, now he is not running anymore. The action is finished, but the result is that I am exhausted, tired. What is the structure of the affirmative sentence for present perfect continuous tense? Subject plus has or have plus been plus present participle. They have been learning English for 2 years. For a negative sentence, subject plus has or have plus not plus been plus present participle. They have not been learning English for 2 years. And for an interrogative sentence, has or have plus subject plus been plus present participle followed by a question mark. For example, have they been learning English for 2 years? Okay, so with this we have clearly understood the structures of the present perfect continuous tense, in which conditions are they used, what are the examples related to this. So the slides have explained all this very clearly. Now based on that we would find the differences between the present perfect and the present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect talks about finished and permanent actions. Present perfect continuous talks about unfinished and temporary actions. Present perfect lies emphasis on the result of the action, but emphasis is on the duration of the action in present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect indicates how long something has been happening, and present perfect continuous tense indicates how much or how many have been completed. Okay, then we'll talk about the simple past versus the present perfect. This is the most confusing thing. Many a times the children ask me, ma'am, should I say I finished my work or should I say I have finished my work? Okay, so let's get to a solution of this doubt. So simple past talks about completed action in a finished time period. And present perfect talks about completed action in an unfinished time. Simple past talks about completed action which has no impact on the present, and present perfect talks about recently completed action that has an impact on the present. So now I think with this second point your doubt is clear, children, that when you have to talk about a work and its result in the present, you should use present perfect. So if you want to go to play because you have completed your work, then you have to use the present perfect. I have completed my homework, so can I go and play? Or if you just have to say that you have finished your homework yesterday, then we use the simple past. The third point, use with words like yesterday, last week and last night. Okay, and in present perfect we generally use the words like yet, already, since, for and so on. Now the difference between the present continuous and the present perfect continuous. Okay, the first point is that there is no mention of the duration of action in present continuous. So both the similarity between these two is both present continuous and present perfect continuous, they have the present participle in them because they talk about actions which are continuing for a certain period of time or which are in progress. Okay, but the major difference between these two is that in present continuous tense there is no mention of the duration of action, whereas in the present perfect tense the emphasis is mostly on the duration of action only. Let us understand this with an example. The turtle is sleeping. How long it is sleeping? You do not know. The turtle is sleeping. Okay, no, there is no mention of duration of the action. So this is in present continuous. The similar kind of sentence in present perfect continuous would be, the turtle has been sleeping for 3 hours. Is it not? So this is the basic difference between the present continuous and the present perfect continuous tense. Now let's move on to the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used for an action which will be finished before a stated future time. As it is the future tense, so naturally in future perfect also you talk about the future time only. For example, he will have delivered all the newspapers by 8 o'clock. So what is the structure of this future perfect tense? Will plus have plus past participle. Always in perfect tenses, it is the past participle V3 form, and in the perfect continuous tenses, it is the V4 form, that is the present participle form of the verb. So here the example, will have delivered. Delivered is the past participle form. So for affirmative or positive sentence, the structure is will or have plus past participle. For a negative sentence, the structure is won't or will not plus have plus past participle. And in the third, it would be will plus subject plus have plus past participle. This is in the interrogative form. Okay, so once I repeat this, will plus have plus past participle in the positive sentence, won't plus have plus past participle in the negative sentence, will plus subject plus have plus past participle in the interrogative sentence. So this is the structure of the future perfect tense. So as you already understood that we use future perfect tense when you talk about an action which will be finished before a stated future time, that by this time this action will be finished in the future. Okay, so the future perfect tense is also used with the following time expressions like before, till, until, by the time, by then, etc. And the most important thing that you need to remember is till and until are mostly used in the negative sentences. Look at this example. She will have finished the report by tomorrow. She won't have completed the report till or until 6 o'clock. Is it clear now? Look at this example of the future perfect tense. By the time you read this, I will have slept. I'm not going to have finished this book by 11 o'clock. So they are talking about a certain period of time in the future, certain time in the future, and by that time they talk about the completion of the action, whether it would be completed or it would not be completed. Now what about the future perfect continuous? We use the future perfect continuous when we have to talk about an action which will be in progress over a period of time that will end in the future. So the action takes some period of time to get completed. It begins in the future, takes some time in the future and gets end in the future. By next March, we shall have been living here for 5 years. I shall have been teaching in this college for 20 years by next July. That means already you have been teaching previously in the past, even in the present you are teaching. In the future also for some time more you will be teaching till it would come to an end at a period of time. By the end of this year, he will have been acting for 30 years. So for 30 years indicates the period of time in the future. Let's understand the structure. Will plus have plus been plus verb in the ing form. In May, I will have been studying Italian for 5 years. Negative sentence, won't plus have plus been plus verb in the ing form. He won't have been working for the company for a long time when he becomes the manager. The third is the interrogative. Will plus subject plus have plus been plus verb in the ing form followed by a question mark. So, how long will you have been living in this flat by the end of this year? So, the same sentence can be written as a question interrogative sentence. Hope you have clearly understood the perfect tenses, that is the present perfect continuous, future perfect and the future perfect continuous. Now your job is to complete the exercises given in your grammar textbook. So equally you can play and at the same time concentrate on your subject, on your work, which is also equally important. Okay. Thank you children and have a good time.